She's a leader in sport who's helping to grow the game of field hockey for girls. Joining me now is Shauna Bookal, the Executive Director of Field Hockey Ontario. Shauna, thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
So I know you have a wealth of experience in many sports. You have different times that you were an athlete, and then you were also doing other roles in sport. Can you talk about how you got to that path of working in field hockey?
Yeah, I have to say, I have to thank my parents because I was an athlete just like everybody. You play sports growing up, and at a young age, I actually started having knee surgeries. So I started getting injured, and when you're injured, you get down. It's like you can't play. I was introduced to the behind the scenes. Granted, I was volunteered a lot by my parents to do scorekeeping and helping out at this, like, if it was the scores table or ticket tables, anything to stay involved while I was rehabbing my knee. And it just grew from there. It grew into people saying, hey, do you want to come work at this event and do this? And I fell in love with the behind the scenes and the planning. I started my career at Brock University, where I took the sport management program while I was at Brock. So going into Brock, I only knew about really basketball, soccer, football, our main sports. And while I was at Brock, they opened my eyes. Dr. Lauren J. Adams, he was the athletic director at the time, introduced me to so many more sports, introduced me to what it is like to work in an athletics department. And my love just grew even more from there. And I didn't want to stop when I was done Brock. And at the time, there wasn't a lot of sports in Canada. So I was introduced, somebody encouraged me to apply to Durham College for the sport, their post-grad program. I went to Durham and again had amazing professors. Ernie Rainbow was one of the people that understood me, that understood that I loved the atmosphere, I loved events, and encouraged me to go to the States. And I went down to the States for my master's. States versus Canada was apples and oranges, and I fell in love with the game days, fell in love with being on TV for football games and the big crowds and tailgating stuff that you never really saw in Canada. And from there, it's just, I was blessed with the opportunity working at Ohio State, came home to Canada, and then I kind of bounced around for a bit because sport wasn't at the time as big in Canada as it was in the States. And during that time, when I came back from working in the States, we had a lot of major games. And working major games is, again, it's a different side of sport that I didn't know existed. And when I was able to do that, it introduced me to the gaming world, introduced me to what it's like to work 12-hour days, long days, big crowds. But it was just, the atmosphere was, again, second to none, that I fell in love with. But then I'm also a mom. So at the time, my daughter's getting a little bit older, and you can't keep going away for weeks or months at a time to work games, looking to settle down. And I was like, I saw the job posting for field hockey, and at the time it was just an events coordinator. And I was like, oh, I can do that with my eyes closed. I do that all the time. And I just moved up the ladder through field hockey. At first, I was nervous because I have never played the sport a day in my life. Didn't know anything about field hockey until I researched it for my interview. But all of the things I've learned over my career from all the different sports has helped me transition into this job, and I'm able to bring things to the table. And I have an amazing team at Field Hockey Ontario that has helped me learn the sport and also has been supportive for the past 2 years. So it's been a windy road. I will admit that. It's one that a lot of people don't take, but I don't regret it for 1 second. It's helped me to become the person I am today.
We hear sometimes why women don't always enter into, sports in the sense of the front office or the business side of it. Sometimes they don't feel like they're qualified for the job, so then they don't apply, or maybe they don't see other people that look like them working in those spaces. How have you navigated that throughout your career?
It's been tough, but again, along the way, I've had amazing mentors. I've had amazing people that have taken me under their wing and have taught me the ins and outs, because normally when I do work these events, I am the only Black person in the room. And sometimes I might be the only female in the room. And I'm looking around being like, can I do this? Am I going to, like, are they going to criticize me, or do they think I can handle it? Or because that sometimes people say, you know, you only got that position because you're Black. And then that plays a role in your head as well. And again, I have a very strong support system with my mom and dad, and they would just keep encouraging me. They would keep telling me, you're there, let your work speak for itself. They're like, just keep your head down, do what you do, and you're going to be fine. And if something was ever wrong, my mom and my dad are speed dials on my phone. I might go for a break, or I might even call my friends. And it was just sometimes having those conversations to get me back in. But then I have had some people that would be like, hey, do you need help? Or let me show you how to do this, or introduce me to a new section that I knew nothing about. So it's been, in a way, it's kind of been 50-50, because I realized as well, with me being in this position, when other females or other minorities see me, they're like, how did you get there? Can you give me any tips? Can you help out? And for me, that's rewarding right there, because now they see somebody in that position, and they see that one day that can be them as well.
There's a lot of talk about, keeping girls in sport, which is a very important conversation. But sometimes we don't hear the conversation go in the direction of really looking at who has access and who doesn't. In terms of resourcing, in terms of even marketing, when you look at other people's sports websites and there's not other girls of different colors or from different experiences. How is Field Hockey Ontario trying to keep girls in the game, but girls from all over, different life experiences, LGBTQ plus, girls who maybe are coming to the country for the first time? How are you navigating that?
Well, this year, and because women in sports is a massive importance in my life, because I wouldn't be here if I didn't have doors open by other women as well. We started at Field Hockey Ontario the apprentice program. And within our apprentice program, we're bringing in young women who their playing career might be coming to an end, but they still want to still want to continue to be a part of the sport. So we're introducing them to coaching. We're introducing them to refereeing. Some of them actually wanted to be introduced to what I do as administrators. So we are taking them on as volunteers or interns to help them with the behind the scenes, and to give them that experience that sometimes they wouldn't have gotten in other places. We've also made sure that we're very inclusive. We've have like partnerships with Respect in Sport. So we have them take modules on our coaches and our volunteers with modules of women in sports to have a better understanding. We've also looking to partner with True Sport, which talks about the harassment and inclusivity. And we want to make sure that we do have members that are a part of the LGBTQ plus community, that they feel welcomed and they know that we're an ally. So we always make sure that wherever people are from, however they want to be represented, we want to support them. We want to do what we can to keep them in our sport, and we want to help them grow in our sport at the most important thing.
Are there any other initiatives coming up at Field Hockey Ontario that you want to share?
Right now, the biggest one for us, it's just how do we get more women in sports? Like, we do have a lot of women playing sports, but we don't have a lot of women behind the scenes. So we don't have a lot of coaches. We don't have the umpires and, as I said, administrators. So we're always looking at how can we help them? How can we improve? And then it's also, some of them might want to get into coaching at the grassroots level. So going into the elementary schools, seeing how, because I'm a firm believer in, if you see it, you want to be it. So if we can get our athletes, our females in the schools at a young age, and these little girls in grades 6, 7, and 8 can see these young women, and that's something that they could aspire to. I know the biggest thing, it's the lack of, especially Black women working in athletics. A lot of them, you'll see a lot of Black players, you'll see a lot of Black coaches, but you don't see them as administrators. Like, a lot of the perception that people have out there is that you have to be a former Olympian, you have to be a former national team player. I was none of those. I was a person that worked my way from the ground up, from a day-to-day volunteer, sitting on committees and doing things and just keeping my head down and working. Yes, I have 3 degrees in sport management, but it was a struggle. I can say it's not, I wasn't like, your A+ students getting on the honor roll or things along those lines. It was a struggle for me to get through those times, but I was able to make it through those times. And people just need to understand, especially young Black girls, It's okay if you don't make it as an athlete, there's still opportunities for you to work in sport. It's okay if you don't represent Team Canada as an athlete, there's still other ways to represent Team Canada as an administrator. And a lot of them don't realize the opportunity is endless. And it's not just for coaches or former athletes or Olympians. You can get there the same way. I know that's a list, that's a bucket list for me. I want to be able to potentially represent Team Canada as an administrator or a volunteer at the 2028 Olympics that are in LA. So for me, in 7 years, and it's been a bucket list for mine because I've always wanted to volunteer there, it's going to become one of those things of see it, you can be it, and you're able to do it yourself from that angle.
I like that. See it, be it, and achieve it.
And it's I've had a lot of young, not just women, I've had a lot of men too, because a lot of the times when they see successful minorities in senior positions, a lot of them were athletes. They've competed at the college level, university level, or the national team. And I respect that because it does take a lot of time and effort for those guys to do that as well. And just know there's many opportunities. The sky's the limit. You set those goals and you can achieve anything that's possible.
And if anyone wants to find anything more about Field Hockey Ontario, or maybe get their kids to sign up, or they can sign up, or they want to get involved, where should they go?
They can visit us. Our website is fieldhockeyontario.com. We're also on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. So we're on all forms of platform. We keep it up to date. We actually have an amazing guest speaker, Sandra Levy, who is the Chief People's Officer for the Canadian Olympic Committee, is a former alumni of field hockey. She's an 11-year veteran on the Olympic team. She's also a Black female, and she's going to be coming to us for a Black history presentation and talking about her career and what her career is like afterwards. And she has one of the highest ranking positions as a minority female in Canada in sport. So she's a definite person I'm looking forward to, and I'm hoping the field hockey community is looking forward to because she can bring some great things to the table.
And I will be tuning into that too. It sounds like it's going to be an interesting talk. Thank you so much, Shauna, for sharing your journey and your story with us. I know, as I said, you seem to have a lot going on, which is great, and you're definitely a wonderful role model. And I'm hoping girls will be inspired once they hear your story.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me. It was an honor just even getting a message from you because I see all the great things
Mm.
that you're doing out there, and it's phenomenal. And I share your platform with everybody as well. So keep doing what you're doing because we need you out there. We need people like you.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.